It was a quiet evening, calm and ordinary, the kind of evening where the sky slowly darkens and life feels safe and predictable. I never imagined that within hours my entire world would collapse, that the person I trusted and loved most after my mother would commit the act that would scar my soul forever. My wife, the woman who shared her dreams, laughter, and endless love with me, was cruelly taken away from me. The cruelest truth of all was not only her death, but that the man responsible was my own father. The same father who once lifted me on his shoulders, taught me to walk, held my hand when I was scared, and protected me when I was young. With his own hands, in a moment of blinding anger and uncontrollable rage, he ended the life of the woman who was my heart. The grief was unbearable, almost impossible to carry. It felt like someone had ripped out my soul. Every corner of my home reminded me of her, the sound of her laughter echoing in the walls, the smell of her perfume on her clothes, the dreams we spoke of late at night as we planned our future. I sat alone in silence, staring at her picture, asking the same question over and over. Why, father, why? But there was no answer. There was only silence and the weight of betrayal that grew heavier with every breath I took. I knew I had to choose between two impossible paths. If I remained silent, I would be betraying the memory of my wife, the promises I made to protect her, and the justice she deserved. If I pursued justice, I would be raising my voice against my own blood, my father, the man who gave me life. The conflict tore me apart from the inside, but in the end, justice prevailed. With trembling hands and a broken heart, I went to the court and filed a case against my father. My voice cracked when I told the police what happened, but I did not stop. I knew I had to walk this path, no matter how painful it was. The courtroom became my battlefield, a place where my heart was split into two. Every day I sat there, listening to lawyers argue, hearing witnesses speak, and watching my father sit in silence. He looked so small, so fragile, as if the weight of guilt had crushed his shoulders. His beard was whiter than before, his face pale, and his eyes filled with tears he could not let fall. He would glance at me sometimes, quickly, as though afraid I might turn away. And yet every glance carried a silent plea. "Forgive me, son." On the other side of that courtroom lived my wife's memory. I saw her in my mind's eye, standing there with her gentle smile, reminding me of the life we could have lived if she were still here. That duality, being a son and a widower, was a torment no soul should ever endure. As the hearings stretched on, months turned into seasons. My father began sending me letters. They were shaky, written with trembling hands. In them he confessed his sins not to the court but to me. He told me how regret haunted his nights, how he saw my wife's face in every shadow, how he begged God to punish him for what he had done. He wrote words that pierced me deeper than any knife. "Son, I do not deserve your forgiveness. I do not deserve your love. But you are all I have left, and I cannot die knowing that your heart only holds hatred for me." I would sit with those letters in my hands, my eyes burning with tears. I could not sleep. I spent countless nights battling myself, torn between vengeance and mercy. In one moment I wished to see him punished, to feel the weight of justice as heavily as I felt the weight of loss. But in the next moment I would remember the father who carried me on his back when I was tired, who taught me the meaning of honesty, who shielded me from every harm when I was a boy. My heart was a battlefield where love and anger fought endlessly. The day of the verdict finally arrived. The courtroom was filled with silence so heavy it was hard to breathe. I stood there, facing the judge, my hands shaking, my heart pounding like it would burst from my chest. Everyone was waiting to hear what I would say. I looked at my father, his eyes red from crying, his body trembling like a leaf in the wind. And then I spoke, my voice breaking but steady enough to carry my truth. "My father is guilty. He has taken away the love of my life. But he is also my father. I came here to seek justice, but today I choose to forgive him." The silence that followed felt eternal. People looked at me with disbelief, some even with anger, but I knew in my heart that this was my decision. My father collapsed into tears, his voice shaking as he whispered, "Son, today you have given me back my life." He fell to his knees before me, clutching my hands, begging me never to let go again. I could feel his tears on my palms, warm and heavy with guilt. From that day forward my life changed. The wound in my heart did not heal overnight. The memory of my wife remained, her absence and emptiness I will carry until my last breath. But in forgiving my father, I found something I had not felt since that tragic evening: peace. I realized that forgiveness did not erase the past, nor did it diminish the pain, but it freed me from the chains of hatred. My wife's memory lives within me, pure and beautiful, and my father, broken but repentant, lives with the knowledge of my forgiveness. And I, caught between love and blood, between loss and mercy, learned that sometimes the hardest battles are not fought in courtrooms, but within our own hearts.